Hey, it's Matt O'Leary, and I got a pretty special album today. I'm excited about this one. We got another in this new series called Albums That Made Me. This is 10 2010s albums that really represent my taste from corner to corner, from end to end. Not only so you have reviews of the albums, but also so people who are new to the channel have a sense of my taste and what to expect as far as genres and things covered on this channel. Going forward. I'm going to go backwards in time here. So at the end of this, there'll be 10 albums from the 2010s, 10 from the zeros, 10 from the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, the 60s. You get it. And again, these are not necessarily my favorite albums or the ones that I'm saying are the best from that decade. They're simply the ones that I feel like best represent me and the variety of music that I enjoy. So last time we did John Grant's Queen of Denmark, and this time it's Ba-da-bum bum 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 ba-dum. It's Snarky Puppy's We Like It Here. This is an album that was totally fresh to me when I discovered it about, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. And it really revitalized my interest in a genre that had grown stale. I knew the classics. I knew Return to Forever, Mahavishnu. But as far as modern day jazz fusion goes, there really wasn't anything out there that I was listening to. So, and maybe it just, I hadn't fully explored it or fully discovered it. But this got me going again and got me interested in the genre as a whole. And this album is a towering, unrelenting juggernaut. I mean, it is massive, and it's their 9th album from 2015. Yeah, Snarky Puppy is that band that won a few Grammys, and they're really considered mainstream as far as this genre goes, and they mix heavy doses of funk and world music to build out their jazz meets rock sound. And this band has 30 to 40 members from around the world who make up the fam, and they've toured with the band since their beginnings in 2004. Yeah, that's right. They've toured so heavily throughout the years that oftentimes most of the nights in a year that some of the band members have had to dip in and out, and that's just kind of the nature of it. But they're all considered members of the band because, you know, by the time you do 100 or 200 gigs, you've already got more under your belt with that band than you probably have with anyone else in your musical history. And I won't bury the lead here. You know, the reason that this record and this band really has stuck with me and stuck with, it seems like, so many others is because of their songwriting. This album and so many others by the band feel like a very intentional batch of songs, not like alternating, you know, flagellation sequences with dizzying solos. Yet this is still very technical music. You know, it's classically informed, and the band's made up of so many seasoned musicians, very, very talented people. But the melodies are fantastic and memorable, and the songs all have a sense of identity and don't run together like a big stew in the way that a lot of jazz can tend to. And We Like It Here, the band leader and the lead songwriter and the bassist, Michael League, took the band to Europe, and they recorded this live even though they just had a few days to rehearse together. Well, most of them had 3 days. The drummer had like 6 or 7 hours after, you know, the first drummer fell through. Then they called Larnell Lewis, and he showed up in Holland, and yeah, half a day later recorded the stuff. And Larnell, as the backbone of this large ensemble, really shines across the record. His playing is just vicious. It's just so unusual. Like, listen to the end of Shofukan, or the song Jambone, or What About Me. There are so many songs where he just goes off, and he plays so spectacularly and aggressively, yet at the same time, you know, he's serving the song and he's serving the melodies that are passed back and forth from instrument to instrument. The opening track, Shofukan, will leave you with about 3 or 4 memorable melodies like that slithering Middle Eastern kind of lead guitar line, or the brass that comes in about a minute and a half in. And this is a real theme for Snarky Puppy. The brass plays a pretty big role and a lot of times has these huge, momentous, melodic moments. Then once the song comes down at 4 minutes, you think you've heard it all, it's winding down, all of a sudden this treacherous moog comes in, and it's just, you know, you're in for something awesome. And I won't spoil it, but that ending just rips, man. It is quintessential Snarky Puppy. If you're a big prog rock fan, you know, you like guitars, you like rock instrumentation, I don't think this album can disappoint. The rhythm section has some serious guts, like they are going for it. And then the lead guitars and the soloing is, heavier than a lot of prog bands can muster. I think like of the song What About Me, that is huge. The way they just tease that little melody at 1 minute and then at the end of the song they hit it hard. There's that horn line on top. It is This is something I talk about a lot in my reviews, but there's just tremendous dynamic range both across the songs and within the songs. You got enough changes there, even though these songs are very long, to keep your interest and hold you as a listener. And stylistically, it's a very globalized sound. It's a very cultured sound. Jambone sounds like New Orleans, whereas Kite brings piano and strings into the mix for something much chillier. It has kind of a Eastern European sort of sound to it. Some bits sound like a spy movie. Then there's the cheerful and very Latin Tio Macaco, which, is carefree. It's much more fun and just, light and effervescent. The closer Lingus is probably their most well-known track. It really encompasses everything the band does well. The brass play a big part, and the Moog is just downright filthy. The electric chorus melody and the electric piano provide a brief respite before that deep Moog comes back to claim more victims. Then the back half features this iconic electric piano solo from Corey Henry. It's slow and sultry to start. You got everything cutting out except the bass and the kick. It's kind of this syncopated, jittery rhythm. Then it builds and builds into just a frenzy, just a behemoth destroying anything in its path. The playing's right up there with some of the greats, Keith Jarrett, Oscar Peterson, Keith Emerson, Chick Corea. And just like that, the ride ends and you simply don't know what hit you. You're just black and blue lying in an alley somewhere. And that's the record. It's a great one, truly worth checking out. I got a vinyl version right here. It's a double record. Pretty cool little art style here. Great pressing, nice and thick. You got a cool photo of the band I'll pull out here. Very classy, in keeping with their jazz heritage. And that's it. That's all I really want to say about this. Talking about jazz is like dancing about architecture. Like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment below on what you think about this album. If it's your favorite from Snarky Puppy, if you like another one, I definitely do, but this one just stands apart for me. And if there's more modern jazz fusion you like that's kind of in this style, or just other things that you think I might have missed. My favorite record in this style in the last couple of years was Simon Phillips' Protocol 5 from last year. Pretty similar sound, but I don't hear a lot of this, so I'd love to get some more recommendations. And as always, thank you so much for watching.